I was like, oh my God, he's sweating his ass off. What the hell?
She's bringing me to this for some reason. As this is happening, there's a reference directly where I feel like as I'm trying to swallow, so doing that, she's referencing to the filtration system of the body shutting down. She's referencing one kidney, actually. Do you know if there were any issues with the kidneys?
Yeah.
Okay, so who would have had the kidney issue exclusively?
My mom.
And so then with this, who would this be connected to?
My mother.
Your mother, okay.
I grew up not having my mom. It was very hard for me, as a teenager, you want to be with your mom. So I know how to cope, I always knew how to cope without having my mom since I was very young.
And so with that, in how she comes through, she's just absolutely lovely. She's absolutely lovely. But there is a feeling of like, thank you for allowing me to move forward, to pass, to cross over.
She made a call knowing that I was out of the state and saying, I want NeNe to come.
Right.
Because she was in the hospital.
Right, yes.
She wanted to make sure that she could hear me or talk to me. But once I got there,
right.
I was talking to her saying, I'm here.
Right.
And at that point, like a couple days later, she went on.
Right. As NeNe's validating the information, I'm starting to notice that I'm feeling drastically better. I'm noticing that I'm sweating less, I'm no longer seeing references to the filtration system, and that's my way of knowing that what is coming through is being delivered in the way that it's meant.
I just want to know that she's with me. But I've actually said to her, Nanny Kay, if you can hear me, let me know. I've done so many incredible things that she would have enjoyed so much.
Yes. It's so interesting because when she comes through, it's more of a personal connection. It's like if she's going to communicate to you, you're going to just kind of know or feel what she would have done. And that's more the way that she seems to connect. But that can be frustrating because it's less obvious. We want a clear billboard of a sign that shows that she's around. And I think if you really are open enough, you will feel her essence coming through what she would have done, what she would have said. And that is a more profound sign than any butterfly, any dragonfly. It just might not be as apparent visually. So it's a different kind of connection. It can be hard wondering, how they feel. But
yeah.
I think you knew how your grandmother viewed you in life and her personality, so no doubt she would have been proud of everything you went on to do. And that's important, so.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
There's a reference, I think, with the woman that's coming through. She's having me bring up, on the car ride here, I was picking up on just a woman that was connecting who acknowledged her mental state before she died. There's a reference to a woman who went through a long time before she died dealing with Alzheimer's. And she had me talk about not being as aware as I normally would.
That's her.
Gotcha.
She had a very long battle with Alzheimer's.
Bizarre. This is actually fascinating because on the way here, all I had was this woman coming through who passed away of Alzheimer's, and I could tell very clearly she was like insistent to come through.
She's doing a lot of talking.
Literally like.
But that's who she was in the physical.
Absolutely. Because she's having me bring up.
Nothing has changed.
When she comes through, the amount of relief that exists there is immense. And
thank God.
Being able to be free
Right.
of whatever she dealt with in the mental capacity.
Yeah, it was devastating.
She does show some form of appreciation for either mom or someone just like touching her hair.
Yes,
like it's
my
this
mother.
thing of like going through the hair and like fixing it or running my hands
My mother
through
took care of, yes, she did. But my grandmother, she was a natural blonde.
Yeah.
And we used to always say, my God, here is this woman just rattled with disease, but the most beautiful head of hair still, so yeah. It was platinum blonde, naturally, all of her life. She was so vibrant, so smart, and so creative that when all of that was systematically taken down and just, this person had no quality of life, we were so happy that she didn't have to live that way any longer. Because that's a cruel disease. It's so cruel.
My father died in March. Yeah. And he died in 2005 already. I can't believe it's been that long. And he had cancer, so yeah.
He's bringing up, holding on, and then he's showing me a clock. And when they do that, that's their way of saying that to some extent, like, they timed their passing. So someone was waiting for someone to show up, or
Right.
things along those lines. It's like, I timed my passing.
Yeah, I was with him.
He's having me bring up that there was a suggestion in some capacity of like going in and trying to do something, but it's like, no, this is not a good time to go in and do this. He's putting like a big red X around this other thing of like a suggestion of like, oh, we can extend someone's life for a period of time.
Right.
And he's saying no with this, like no.
Well, you know, he had cancer and he could have been operated, but he had friends that were operated for the same thing.
Gotcha.
And they died, and so he thought, you know what, I'm okay, I don't need to be operated, I can deal with this. He thought, you know, I could beat this. Yeah. And I didn't even know, he didn't even tell me. He didn't want the family to know. He just thought, you know what, I'm good. But he didn't realize what he was up against, so.
Right. When this comes in, it's his awareness of that,
Yeah.
of that decision making,
Yeah.
and that ultimately, when they bring forward these things, it's their way of saying they have peace with this, they're okay with this, and they just want family to have that validation and understanding that, you know, he wanted to kind of take his health into his own hands. When he comes in, you just need to know that he was appreciative that you made the effort to try to be there. He feels like he could pass away knowing that you were gonna take care of things in whatever way that meant. And I just keep hearing taking care of things, taking care of things, taking care of things.
It was very hard because I was very close to him, and you know, when you love somebody and you can't help them, and I am a nurse, so it was particularly hard for me that I didn't even know he was ill, and then it was too late. So that was very frustrating for me. It was rough. It was rough to see him go through that journey to the end of his life. But I was with him, and I held his hand. And when he would be scared, I'd say, don't worry, I'm here with you.
She just wanted to make sure that your dad was taken care of after, and when she knew that, there's a feeling of like, okay, I'm gonna be all right, like I can go. Because honestly, she wasn't really sure how he'd be able to fare without her.
Yeah, he was attached to her.
Yes.
Like she had friends. My dad doesn't have any friends.
Right.
Like he was always with my mom and her friends. His life was my mom.
Right.
Everything was about my mom.
Yeah.
So now my daughters and I and my brother, we're with him all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's important. She could tell, obviously, you know, that he especially really needed that extra kind of help after, because she wanted to make sure he was okay.
Of course, I always take care of him.
Yeah, she's definitely around him.
My daughter.
Right. So, yeah, I feel like that's going to be something that is important to have your voice heard.
Yeah.
And express yourself, because it can be a tool for healing as well.
It's a slippery slope for me because I'm still estranged.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think it's one of the hardest, most painful things to go through as a parent. It's like having a child die, but they're still alive and they're untouchable, and so many parents don't want to talk about it. So it's really hard for me because I want to be the voice and I want to help, but I don't want her to get upset.
Yeah, and that's really admirable of you.
And I know in my heart, like I could feel it, like she's gonna come back.
She will, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think patience is going to be necessary with this, because sometimes, as hard as it is, we just kind of have to ride out these difficult times, but I can guarantee you she will come back.
Yeah.
If I've ever given a prediction on the show that I feel is accurate, I feel like
Yeah.
there will be an opportunity to make amends, to say what needs to be said, and
Yeah.
that'll happen.